Let's talk about Arsenal PSG. Arsenal lost 1-0 at home. Ousmane Dembele, I think in about the 3rd or 4th minute, got the goal. I thought that it was signs of things to come, but somehow Arsenal managed to keep it tight. They didn't score. They created their own chances, but they didn't score. But in the end, 1-0. How do you feel about a 1-0 scoreline heading back to the Parc des Princes?
I think 1-0 is very overcomable. I think it's not any crazy. Like, it's not like the 3-0 that they gave Real Madrid that we all said that, look, the game is done. And Real Madrid are talking about closing the... It's not that. 1-0 is... How many times have we not seen a 1-0 be overturned? Easy. Even PSG, they lost 1-0 against Liverpool. You know? Yeah. So that 1-0 is not an issue at all. Even look at how close Aston Villa came to getting back from a 2-goal deficit as well.
Donnarumma.
Yeah. And Donnarumma was exactly the key player in this game too, because Arsenal had chances. I think Trossard and Martinelli could have both.
Those
Donnarumma has been massive in the last 3 games.
Yes, I think Donnarumma, he has mistakes in him. His mistakes are playing out through the back. Sometimes I think when it comes for coming for the ball, but shot stopping, I think look, when it comes to shot stopping, I'll say him, Courtois and Alisson. Those are the top keepers in the world when it comes to shot stop. Actually, I'll add David De Gea. I'll add him as well. But those 3 keepers, when it comes to shot stopping, for the top teams, they are right up there. So for me, Arsenal have a way into this game. If, as we expect Thomas Partey to start, they'll probably be a better team. They'll probably handle the game better. And look, the one thing is, their strength is PSG's weakness, set pieces. PSG's game against Nice, they lost 3-1. Their first loss in the league this season. They conceded most of their goals.
Lost in the league?
Yeah, 30 games.
Wow.
They conceded most of the goals from set pieces, if I'm not mistaken. If a team can concede 3 goals from set pieces in a game they are trying to win, because they are playing with their starters and everything, I don't think Arsenal should be afraid. Arsenal even scored a set piece goal that was just slightly offside. So for me, this game is very winnable for Arsenal, because if Arsenal score an early set piece goal, for example, now the game is balanced. Now you are both in the game. Now you both have to just play. Next goal wins. So I think Arsenal have a path to winning completely. I think there's nothing to be scared about. And I believe they'll play a lot better with Thomas Partey, because if you notice, Declan Rice couldn't get them out of their own third when they started the game. Declan Rice, he's a good player.
But the Arsenal fans spent the whole 90 minutes complaining about Partey's absence.
Yeah, because Declan Rice is good, but Declan Rice is good when there's space in front of him and he can just run like a bulldozer. If Declan Rice gets the ball in a tight space and he has to turn like Partey, do some footwork, he cannot do it. He's a bulldozer. He's not a ballerina. So you have to that's his strength.
Declan Rice will take exception to this description.
He himself knows. And truth be told, they missed that a bit because Mikel Merino doesn't play the same way. Odegaard, I don't even want to talk about him.
He has switched off
in
for
fact,
the season.
I've written an article about him. Go and read.
Yeah, exactly. Please check that. I'll get to that when we get to Premier League. But yes.
So if Declan Rice was in the 80 and he could barrel forward, put some pressure, use his strength a bit more, they could have done a bit better. So look, they'll be a lot better in the second leg. It's all to play for. I believe that their wingers I think Martinelli had an okay game. I think Saka had okay games. They did okay. Timber, he struggled a bit with Kvaratskhelia to start, but then he got into the game. So, and I left back, I don't think Luis Kelly was really troubled by any of them. So I think when I look at the game,
Arsenal will look at it and
think this is very winnable. I think the issue is that they struggle to deal with Ousmane Dembele more so because of he can drop deep, drive at you. They were just a bit not sure how to deal with him, but this is a very winnable game. I don't think Arsenal should be afraid, but they need to score the first goal, because I believe if they have to score 2 goals to now take it to extra time, that would be a difficult ask. But they score first, they level the tie, they can play the game and win. So sometimes it's the game state. I think.
So who are you tipping?
I'll still think PSG are the favourites because they are going into a home leg with a goal advantage. But it's a slight favourite. I don't think it's as clear cut as you think. So Arsenal have all the chance in the world, but PSG going in there with the advantage, I think that just gives them the edge.
Anyway, let me just update you guys real quick. So it's 78 minutes played in the Ghana DRC game. Is still 1-1. Yeah, let me take your thoughts on who wins that tie, who goes to the final between PSG and Arsenal.
PSG. Look, the margins are so fine, and the slightest advantage you get pushes you closer to qualifying to the next stage, and we witnessed that in the quarterfinals. Look, Aston Villa, like you said, 1 goal away from tying that context against PSG in the quarterfinal. But PSG, that third goal that they scored in France, that pretty much sealed the deal for them. And you look at that Inter-Barca game, there's pretty much no advantage in that tie. But with this, that slight advantage that PSG have, I think it just puts them into that final. Despite the fact that Thomas Partey is coming back, he will feature in that game. I absolutely see him bossing the game and balling out, but I don't think it will be enough to get Arsenal to qualify ahead of PSG. And honestly, I wrote an article in the lead up to the game, and I expected Arteta to play Miles Lewis-Kelly a bit higher up the pitch.
In what position?
Because of the absence of Partey.
Yeah.
I expected Miles Lewis-Kelly to line up next to Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard in that midfield, because you needed a lot of creativity, because you didn't have that industry of Declan Rice playing higher up the pitch, because he was going to play in a little bit more reserved kind of football, because he had to protect that back line.
Yeah.
And so you needed a little bit of creativity and a player who could run at the defense and a player who could take on more defenders with his dribbling ability and speed. Merino didn't give you that. And that's how come you had Miles Lewis-Kelly consistently being the one occupying that left side of that midfield. But you need him in that space to be able to do that consistently, rather than have him move over from that left fullback position and into the midfield to do that kind of job or take up that responsibility. And in that situation, you push Merino into that forward position and provide that big body up front that Arsenal didn't have, because they had Leandro Trossard playing in that number 9, false 9 position. And he did well, but like Coach said in that game on that game between Inter and Barcelona, at some point Barcelona needed an aerial presence. They needed a big body up front. In that game against PSG, at several points in that game, Arsenal needed a big boy up front, and they didn't get it because Merino had to move from midfield, and by the time he was moving, someone was tracking him.
They had William Pacho and who else at the back?
Marquinhos.
William Pacho is strong as hell.
Exactly. And so you needed that big boy in there. And I was a bit disappointed that, and this is not in hindsight because I wrote it before the game started. I expected Arteta, because of the presence of or return of Ben White, I expected him to line up with all central defenders at the back, have Jurien Timber, who is versatile enough to play in that left full back position, have him line up on the left full back position, have Jakub Kiwior pair with William Saliba, and have Ben White on the right side. Then in that situation, you push Miles Lewis-Kelly into midfield because Thomas Partey wasn't available. So you needed that guy to be the one consistently pressing from midfield and not have him move from defense into the midfield to do that job, and have Merino push up into that false 9 position, so that it gives you options. You can play through the wings, or you can just lob it up through the middle and have him attack it aerially. And in situations where Arsenal dink the ball into the box, PSG had their issues. They struggled. And so in the second leg, that's what I really expect, especially if Martin Odegaard is still not getting the job done. If he's still struggling, I mean, he should be confident enough to bench him, push Miles Lewis-Kelly into that. I know, but at the end of the day, there's a final qualification on the line. You need to get a little bit desperate, a little bit crazy. But look, all in all said and done, PSG, that's the team I tip to qualify to the final. But at the end of the day, either way, the biggest winner will be Partey. Look, if I'm Partey's agent, I'll just go like, you saw what my client's absence, what it did to your team, right? You saw that.
But he has to step up on that second leg too.
Oh, he will definitely step up because they are currently in contract negotiations because his contract runs out on June 30th.
No, but I get where you're coming from. That his absence just highlights his importance.
His importance. And look at the Dembele goal. Yes, it was a difficult goal because it kind of bubbled along the way because Kvaratskhelia pass it was sharp and he had to get it off quickly. But did you see the amount of space that he had? Did you see the amount of space that he had? It was absolutely insane. Thomas Partey is there. He checks that. So for me, Partey will get his win-win share. But look, PSG qualifies to the Champions League final. That's what I see.
So I have 2 PSGs here, coach.
No more. Banwe koe, walanwe, banwe koe, walanu, banwe koe, walanu, banwe koe, walanwe, walanu le eje, banwe ko, monfia moni kuma yobo, banwe koe, walanu le eje, inke banwe koe, banwe koe, ao banwe koe, banwe koe, ao, walanu le eje, banwe koe, ao Partey. Banoba wo woke ya, Thomas Partey, Banoba wo woke ya, Partey, Banoba wo woke ya. Ingetia,
No more.
Arteta disappointed me. I agree with everything that Yao said, and in addition to that. He lacked the balls to substitute Odegaard. Balls. Look, after 30 minutes, it was clear that for as long as Odegaard stays on the pitch, Moreno will be required to do something extra. You are asking a makeshift striker to do a little bit too much.
Almost play as a defensive false 9.
What is that? And that was coaching. It was clear that anytime he got into the box, and sensibly, he was not going to the big, powerful PSG centre back. No. He was targeting what? Marquinhos.
Yeah, he's the smaller of the two.
He's the smaller of the two. Look at the goal he scored that was disallowed. That alone should have told Arteta that he needed that guy to stay in the box. But in getting him to stay in the box, you need to get the ball to him. Arsenal for the first time couldn't see the pass to their wide men. They couldn't. They couldn't see the pass to the wide men. So look at the difference the Ghanaian will make on the day. Partey, no matter how difficult the channel is, you can block the channel for as much as you can. Because he's so patient. He waits for the right moments. And he's the controller, and he can direct people as to where to go, when to pass, when to give him the ball. He picks up the moment and the decision is made, and Saka enjoys. Martinelli is always happy, and they are enjoying themselves. Declan Rice, he's a ball carrier. He does not know how to pass the ball
From deep.
He doesn't know that. He can't do that. It's not within his DNA. Look at the goal Arsenal conceded. He was in a rush to go and double up on Kvaratskhelia. There wasn't the need for that based on where he was playing on the day. Arsenal had enough defensive line cover because when Timber got closer to Kvaratskhelia, Saliba was the defensive. Kvaratskhelia, why do you think he didn't go attempted to dribble past Timber? Because he knew that when he do that, the moment he does that, Saliba was going to step in. But he saw the void vacated by Declan Rice. Lack of awareness. You don't blame him because he doesn't understand the role. So Arsenal got exposed. Look, PSG, and they are a very, very dangerous team.
Very.
And it's an English problem. England also have that problem. That's why they always want to get a 6.
A natural 6.
A natural 6 to play alongside Declan Rice.
And anytime they have somebody like that, Rice always tend to play his best football.
But Rice is the number 8 from all indicators.
So that was where I now agree with Yao.
They play 26 passes. So they lead up to the goal. 26 passes uninterrupted.
And after going 26 passes, there was a whole gap like that.
Big gap, just
Big
ran
gap
down.
like that. Unacceptable. You cannot do that. But unfortunately, they did. Now, once you do that, you should go into that second leg and get here. That is where my worry is. I listened to Mikel Arteta.
Yeah.
And I said, well spoken. Again, before I tackle what he said after the game, there was something he did. You remember after they receiving the shock, nobody thought Arsenal would concede that early.
Yeah. I thought they were going to concede more goals, but they
the
sort of.
atmosphere at the stadium before that Dembele goal was absolutely electric.
Oh yeah, the tifo and all.
But the moment Dembele scored, everybody just went mute. And look at what Arteta did. He rather was doing this to the
He
supporters.
was whipping up the support.
That was a wrong approach. They are passively involved in the game.
Yeah.
You rather turn and call your experienced players and get them to calm down. That's a game plan. Calm down. You could clearly see Declan Rice telling everybody to what? Calm down. But the manager was rather excited. No, mini coaching, eh? In less than 2-3 minutes, you are down. That's not the time to rather go to the protagonists themselves, go to the players themselves, calm them down, and get. You needed Arsenal to get on the ball to play. But they've had within the space of 3-4 minutes, they've had too many turnovers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll give you some numbers to back what coach
Yes,
said.
I was watching
In the
it.
first 26 minutes.
There you go.
In the first 26 minutes, PSG's domination in the first exchanges, they had 71.6% possession in the first 26
That
minutes.
cannot be allowed.
In the first 26 minutes. Then in that same period, PSG had a passing accuracy of 86.5%.
No. Because Arteta wanted whenever Arsenal got the ball,
The first 26 minutes. This was including the time that the goal was scored.
That was when I was watching. I said, Ingme Partey. No more about walker. Ingme Partey. Ingme Partey. In fact, Partey then Jani Jigale why na can second yellow card. That second yellow card in Madrid. I said, Partey, me no fene.
But did you see Declan Rice reaction?
No,
After
The guys nearly slapped you.
oh, he was
no,
pissed.
what
He
was
was
that?
pissed.
Thomas, with all your experience, what was that second yellow card meant for? And we all saw it. It was so clear and evident. If Partey was there, look, I'm the boss. I'm your master. Stand here, give it to me, relax. I will give it to you when it is necessary. You have to focus and keep calm. Under trouble, I will show up. Once I show up,
Give it to me.
give it to me. Declare like a couple like giddy. Calm down. But you see, I didn't blame Rice. I blamed Arteta.
Yeah.
Because at that stage, you are playing against a ball-playing team.
Yep.
A team that wants the ball off
Not
you.
a single player in that PSG midfield likes to kick the ball long.
No.
Everybody is
So
technically gifted.
why you get them to work for it? Get them to work for it.
Yeah.
You cannot be giving them to them. What was that?
Yeah.
I have a slightly dissenting view.
I have
Yes.
to take a break at 8.
Go
So
ahead.
just
So-
land for me and then I'll take the break and come.
So you see, when they go to the Parc de
Parc de
what is it?
Prince.
France,
Yeah.
Joe Prince, Joe Queen, Joe Atole. You cannot do turnovers.
Yeah.
And I'm happy Partey is back. No more. I'm not here disrespecting PSG. Shinaka, many palinya ke nervous mekanibie.
Vitinha.
Vitinha ke small boy me je gbe.
Joao
Neves.
Partey le ball to afele. Partey is more experienced than him. I just hope that every Arsenal player will be on the same page as Thomas Partey on Wednesday. Because he alone cannot do the job all by himself. And Arteta's approach will have to be Arteta cannot go in there and say go and spark the machine. No, you are trailing by a goal.
You need to be cautious.
You need to be cautious because you don't want to make your work even more difficult by conceding first. So said that.
Are you rooting for Arsenal to go through? You think they go through?
I think if they score the first goal, they go through. If they score the first goal,
They go through.
on Wednesday, we've seen PSG crumple.
Yeah, they looked a bit shaky against Villa. I think
Look,
they can be.
Bayame,
Yeah.
get Mourinho, and then another thing that Arsenal really need to do. At some point in the game,
Yeah.
get Mourinho up front and play like a typical English team.
4-4-2.
Long to the
Long ball, and then get players that Declan Rice. This is where it will be very important.
like we also PSG struggle with these long balls.
Go long, and Declan Rice quickly get closer. When he wins the ball, pounds on it.
Marino.
When Marino wins the ball, you win the second ball.
Yeah.
PSG, they are not good at winning set. That is why they want to control the game.
Yep.
To avoid
Yep.
such situations from happening. But they are a very dangerous team. And Saliba, Kivio, Timber, White, I think he needs to go all the 4 centre backs. If Ben White could play some minutes in that game, he starts. Timber goes to the left, White is on the right, and then, if possible, he can bench Odegaard. Captain, call for me. Oba war session, bashing. Before me, no bench Odegaard. This is not the time. Let's say
This is not a time for emotions.
Dabida.
That's the problem. Odegaard will play, and that's why they will
That
lose.
is why they will not end up qualifying, because the man cannot even make 5 yards, 10 yards pass. He's giving the ball
crazy.
away.
His confidence.
His confidence
gone.
has disappeared. It's not existed. It's not existed.
Look, if
anymore.
possible, if bench him,
Yeah.
bring the boy y'all spoke about,
Louis Kelly.
bring him alongside Thomas Partey.
More industrious.
And give Declan Rice that box
Young
to
chap.
box
He
license.
looked on the tip.
No more.
He was
A shame,
excellent. He
Bridget.
was
Okay.
excellent.